Content warning. We have fun and laugh a lot during the process of making this podcast, but some of the movies we watch have adult situations. That means we may use language that isn't suitable for children, as well as topics that could be triggering for some. We want you to enjoy our podcast, and that means taking care of yourself and feeling safe. Thanks for listening.
So who are you, man? Shit!
I'm the party pooper.
Welcome.
Welcome back. I don't know what that was.
Welcome back. do, 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 do,
Welcome to our show.
Our new doo-wop opening.
Yeah, I'm Z.
Over here is that other guy. I'm called Keith.
Fun fact, some people refer to Keith as Z, so we're the Z's. We have been referred to as
ZZ Top.
And
bottom.
Yeah. So we're doing a podcast about movies that we watch. And this week we're doing what?
Nothing.
We're doing a podcast.
What are you doing on this podcast?
This week we're doing a podcast on Kindergarten Cop.
The Kinder.
Okay.
Kindergarten.
If you've never seen Kindergarten Cop,
shame on you.
Yeah. And we're gonna spoil the whole thing. So if you really don't want it spoiled before you watch this, then stop right now.
There are things to spoil.
Yeah, there's like one or two things to spoil.
Besides your
britches. Okay, so I found some trivia.
Ooh, starting with trivia.
Yeah, that it's really interesting.
Oh, I see.
No, I see. It's not the one. It's not that one.
Oh,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that one yet.
Okay.
I gotta find it. Oh
God. Did we say 1990? Is that even correct?
It's not. I think it's 1990.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 19. Yes, it is 1990.
1990, directed by Ivan Reitman. It's the second of three Ivan Reitman movies starring Arnold. The first being Twins, and the one after this being the third being Junior.
Yeah.
You got that trivia?
I have that trivia. This is IMDb trivia. Like, in doing this podcast, IMDb trivia has become like one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, this isn't really a movie review pod as much as it's a review of IMDb trivia entries.
I love it. This is the only Arnold Schwarzenegger movie to date to contain a German word, kindergarten, in its title. Literal translation, children's garden. In parentheses, nursery school.
It's
like,
also,
I love how they're, like, kindergarten is just a word, like, I mean, I understand that it is not, it's a German word or whatever. But, like, that's what we call, like, nursery school or whatever. That's what we call, like, young kids in school. Like, that's what we call their school. It's like...
It is fully integrated into American English.
And they're like...
No one will be confused about what the word means.
You'll be shocked to know that this is the only German film in which Arnold Schwarzenegger has ever appeared, you know? Like, no, that's not... What? Oh, I love
also, apparently the first film in which he can be heard speaking German.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good.
Which I totally missed during the film, but
that's hilarious.
During
oh
the
God,
viewing of the
that
film.
whole montage of like, what's her name?
Pamela Reed?
Yeah, but what's her name?
Phoebe,
yeah. Of her like getting the stomach flu and throwing up, and Arnold Schwarzenegger having to like take care of her.
Oh, on their whole drive from
drive.
Portland to Astoria.
And like
Which is a longish drive, by the way.
She just keeps like they keep having to pull over for her to like
Puke or
and
diarrhea.
diarrhea.
Maybe it was the burrito. Or it could have been the sausages. I don't think it was the crab salad. It couldn't have been the donuts. Excuse me. Oh, I hate feeling like this.
I hate it too.
He's just like, ooh. And like at the very end when they finally get to their duplex motel. Like it's very confusing because it's a motel, but it's also a house.
It's one of those. Yeah, no, it's one of those.
I've never experienced this. I'm not saying
it's
they
like the
don't
place we
exist.
stayed in Michigan, kind of.
It's not.
It's just one story and.
No, but if you notice when they're in there, they each have their own bedroom.
Just two. Oh.
And there's like it's like a full like apartment, but it says motel, and I'm like, I don't think that's how that works. I don't know. I'm like, maybe it's very confusing to me. Like, I mean, I've stayed in, like we've stayed in a hotel like or a motel like that, and it's so much fun. It's just, but it's usually when they're like that, they're very bare. Like they don't have like like you might have like a fridge or something in there or whatever, but they're very much set up just to. Oh, I remember the motel we stayed in. The water smelled so bad.
The water smelled.
It smelled like fucking eggs.
Like the tap water?
It did. When I would shower, I was like, oh my god.
Which one was this?
The motel, the motel we stayed in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Oh god, it smelled so bad. We brought our own.
The haunted hunting lodge.
Yes. Oh god, I fucking loved it so much. It looked so creepy at night. I literally was like, oh my god, this literally looks like the place where like so many like serial killer movies have been filmed. And
it was nice.
I was so excited.
And that awesome like common
you were like
area.
asleep. Yeah. Oh god. I loved that.
Clubhouse or whatever.
Let me
it was.
just say
there was an electric organ in there.
Oh.
We goofed around
literally.
Lots of Bud Light shaped like bowling
Miller
pins.
Lite, yeah.
In the fridge.
Like in the God. I that was just like in
and
the common area fridge. That was very clear that like people had just like purchased like beer and have stayed there and then just like left
it there.
the like one or two bottles behind because they were all like different types, different kind. Like oh god, but like you'd open the fridge and there'd just be like Budweiser and Miller Lite everywhere. And so you just like have a beer and like play pool, and no one else was there. Oh my god, that was probably like my absolute favorite vacation that we ever.
Wi-Fi kind of spotty though.
Wi-Fi was spotty. That's true. Do you remember we had and this is what I loved about it. I took a week off work. It was like my first vacation. I think I'd never had a vacation before, and I was working in a place where they were like, you have to take vacation. They're like, you can't just not take vacation. And so like, I was like, oh, wait, what? And I was very confused. So I was like, okay, I'll take a vacation. And I like took a week off work and I was and got paid for it. Like it was my first job that I could take I was like, what? It was so unnerving. But because it was like they were like, you have to take, like, basically I'd come up to, they were like, you have to take vacation right now. Mm-hmm. Or else, like, they're like, because I think we were doing like a conversion or something. And so like, I literally wasn't going to be able to after like a month. And they were like, if you don't take it right now, you're not going to
get your toaster oven.
Yeah. They're like, if you don't take it right now,
conversion.
Get
it?
No, I don't.
You're converting the straights to the gay agenda. Yeah, you get a toaster oven when you convert someone.
No, so anyway, yeah, they were like, you have to take a vacation.
Really sad that I have to teach you about your own culture.
Fuck off. So anyway, as I was saying about this very important story that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about. It was my first vacation ever. It was last minute. We had literally no money. Like, neither of us had any money. We were literally like, and we booked like a motel in Michigan. We drove and we literally had no money. Like, we had nothing. We were like in this motel, like, we cooked a bunch of food to like, we didn't like go out to eat or anything.
Nope.
We didn't like get junk food at the gas station. Maybe a little bit here or there, like when we were like driving or something. But like
we stopped at a
literally,
McDonald's.
we
Or some shit.
literally ate beans and rice
Mm-hmm.
and like stir fry that we had pre-cooked and put in huge Tupperware.
Mm-hmm.
Brought with us to Michigan and stored in the fridge.
And a couple, or at least one giant box of wine that we purchased
and we,
with a gift card.
And yes.
Shout out to Flota.
Yes. I was going to say, and we, and so we got like a boxed wine that was going to last us like a week. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And the first night we got to the hotel and we both, and it was like the like really like Franzia or whatever, the really
cheapest of the cheap
stuff. And
It hurt
had
so
like,
bad.
oh my God, I have never been that hungover from so little alcohol in my entire life. I had like 2 glasses of wine and the next day I woke up and I was like, oh no, I'm dying and I'm going to be dead and I'm going to die. And I remember you were watching like that History Channel show. I was like literally hungover with a pillow over my face. And you were watching this History Channel show on like what it looked like, the Colosseum or something like that.
I think it was the Pantheon or something, and they were like rebuilding it and talking about how the pillars interlocked and all this shit.
And I was like hungover, and like we were both like, we feel terrible and awful. And but it was still like no money, like the cheapest wine that if you drank a glass and a half, you would have a hangover that was equal to drinking like 3 bottles of wine, and it was
just like sulfites with some red food coloring. Is what that wine was like.
It was the best vacation though. It
was
the best
good.
fucking vacation.
I shit in Lake Michigan. And then when we were leaving the beach, there was just a group of teen Mennonites hanging out, staring at us because we were showing
because
skin.
They know,
they knew the spots.
They
knew the spots to go.
They were like, we know you shit in Lake. That was the best thing. I was like, I love him.
You didn't think it could get in any? You didn't think our love could get any deeper after I threw coffee at a child, but turns out I shit in an alley, I shit in my pants, and I shit in Lake Michigan. Never gonna give you up.
The alley is my favorite.
You can see it from this window.
The alley, not the shit.
You can see the shit from this window.
That was probably, yeah, that was another. Oh, God.
Anyway, Kindergarten Cop, am I right?
German film.
Directed by notable German filmmaker Ivan Reitman.
Oh, another one I wanted to read. Okay. Another trivia I wanted to read. So. This is so okay. So this movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know you like doing your credits, so do your credits.
You want me to do?
Yeah, I don't want to.
I don't mind if you do them. I
don't want to. I don't care.
I just get anxious when they don't get done.
No, I know.
Directed by Ivan Reitman, as mentioned. Story and screenplay by Murray Salem. We got Arnold. We got Penelope Ann Miller, who
was in The Relic that I love so much. Great film.
Only a tiny bit more of a character for her this time.
Unrecognizable as the scientist that doesn't believe in superstition in this film.
Yeah, fortunately, I guess. Pamela Reed is Phoebe, and Arnold's counterpart, also a police person. Mm-hmm. I thought she was great.
Oh,
She's my favorite part of the movie, honestly. You had to point out to me that she plays Leslie Knope's mom.
Yeah.
Whose name I forget.
Leslie Knope.
No, the mom.
Oh,
Nope's
Marlene Griggs Knope or whatever.
Yeah, her. The inimitable. That's not a word. Inimitable. Anyway, it's got Linda Hunt.
And special guest appearance by Angela Bassett as the fucking stewardess.
Oh, right. What the fuck?
I saw, and I was like, that cannot be Angela Bassett. That cannot be
One
Angela
scene.
Bassett. And I looked it up, and it's fucking Angela Bassett. I'm like, what?
Why?
What? It says, like, she makes a cameo.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I don't think that. But, yeah. So.
Hold on, I got one more.
Okay.
Richard Tyson plays Crisp, who's the bad guy. Honorable mentions. Why am I stammering so much? Honorable mentions. Kathy Moriarty.
Oh, my God.
Park overalls in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Love her. She was great on Empty Nest.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know her. And your boo, Jane Brooke.
Oh, Jane Brooke. Oh,
a.k.a. Admiral Cornhole.
Oh, God, from Star Trek Discovery. Jane Brooke, like, legitimately, like, she's probably, I probably can trace it back to Kindergarten Cop, honestly. Such a huge crush on her since, like, I was a child. And I
Here's
say
my favorite
crush.
thing about
I say
this
crush
podcast
because
is that it makes you sound way more of a horn dog than me.
and
like you're just hot for every other actor you've ever seen. Love it.
Jane Brooke, like, I don't know what the fuck it is, but she made such an impression on me. Anything that I saw her in, I was like, oh. And it was like a thing. Like, I wasn't out until I was in my 20s. Like, I didn't even admit to myself that I could possibly even.
Oh,
I mean,
you're
like,
out.
fucking when I was like, I grew up in a really, really strictly religious, upbringing.
Was it really though?
And so, like, my worst fear I knew, but my worst fear growing up was that I was actually gay. I was like, God, I hope I'm not gay. That would be the worst news ever. It's actually not the worst news. Turns out it's actually way better when you're like admit it to yourself and then start living your life as yourself. It actually feels so much better than when you're just like, I hope it's not true. It's probably true, and also it's fine. Just accept it and move on. But yeah, like Jane Brooke was one of those where I was like, from like a very early age. So yes, her being like, I could tell you that she was in Kindergarten. She's hardly in this movie, and I'm like, yeah, Jane Brooke's in Kindergarten Cop. I can tell you, like, oh yeah, I remember her from Kindergarten Cop.
He's gay. What kind of a man teaches kindergarten? He's obviously gay.
Also, why that character? Why that whole
okay,
tiny subplot?
I'll tell you why.
Okay, because
Arnold Schwarzenegger had this is more IMDb trivia. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a few conditions before accepting the role of John Kimball. He wanted Ivan Reitman to direct the film. He wanted a physical fitness theme, and he and Reitman wanted broken homes, child abuse, and family life written into the script. Can you just write some child abuse in there? I'd love that. So the plot of the film, I don't think we actually went over the plot of the film, is that Arnold Schwarzenegger plays John Kimball, who's a cop, who's trying to get Crisp Kringle or whatever, this horrible bad guy that they don't actually specify anything that he's done. I don't think they're just like, he's a bad guy. And he's been trying to get him for years.
Trying to catch him.
Yeah. And it also, I mean, like in the very opening scene, there's a guy and a girl who are like clearly supposed to be like junkies or whatever, they're just
right.
like trying to, and they give Crisp Kringle, I don't actually know what his last name is, but it's
They just call him Crisp?
They give Crisp a like
hot tip.
Yeah, a tip on, well, the girl, like it's a girl and a guy, and the girl hides, and the guy who has the same haircut as my childhood friend, like very
that they had as a child.
Yes, as like has the same haircut. Like in 1990, this character had the same haircut as my best friend when I was a small child.
Had in 1991 when they were 10.
Correct.
Or whatever.
No, 10.
6. Girl, I don't know.
They were probably like they were like 2 years younger than me, so in 1990 they were like 3. Anyway.
Just trying to help.
So, he tells Crisp Kringle where his ex-wife lives and their son. He's like, yeah, I've seen, and then he's like, are you going to give me money for it? And he's like, sure I am. And then he shoots him and kills him. And he doesn't know that the guy's girlfriend or whatever was hiding and saw the whole thing and can ID the guy. So they arrest Crisp. They arrest Crisp, and then they go looking for
you better come Crisp.
His like ex-wife, but they don't know where she is, and they have very little info on her because this is pre-internet, so they like don't have any images of her, which is like very shocking to me, but whatever.
Doesn't make any sense.
They don't know what she looks like. They don't know what the kid looks like because she ran away like several years ago. So they're like, we don't know how she's updated her looks. We don't know how the kid looks now. We don't know what their names are now. Like none of it. So they get a tip, obviously, that she's in Astoria. And
home of the Goonies.
Yeah. And they are going to put so like Arnold Schwarzenegger is this hard cop that's whatever.
Oh yeah, I wrote this down. I remember I wrote this down. He for the first 13 minutes of the film he's wearing sunglasses. Only?
Yeah.
Like you don't see his eyes for
So he's like this, like hard cop that's like
hard cop.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to get Crisp. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to pair you off with O'Hara.
Also his fake stubble in the beginning.
Terrible. See, but I think they did some reshoots because there's like several scenes where he clearly has a fucking wig on and it's very confusing to me. And it's like,
wow.
Yeah. I'm really particular about wigs. I can spot them. Like if someone suddenly is wearing a wig, I'm like, why are they wearing? And like it's a thing. I don't know what to call it. It's not like a tick or something, obviously, because that doesn't make any sense. But it's like something where like I see it and I get immediately agitated. I'm like, no, you have a wig on. I need an explanation for why you're wearing a wig.
You can't fool me.
Yeah, I'm like, I just want, like, it's like I want to like have like a bullhorn and be like,
guys,
everyone, by the way,
it's the wig right here.
They're wearing a wig suddenly. I need someone to acknowledge that they too see it, and also someone tell me why. Why? So like, it's like such a thing, and I get so annoyed usually because like there will be movies where. And especially when they have like masculine, I don't want to say men because I don't necessarily think it's men, but it's just like more masculine presenting people or like people with short hair when they're doing reshoots where they have to wear a wig. It's extremely difficult to like. It's a lot easier to do like a long hair wig and try to style it in the style of someone with long hair. When someone has short hair, right. If you're trying to style it the same, it's never going to work because it just can't work. It doesn't. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's never gonna. Anyway, so that's an aside. But yeah, he goes. So his partner's supposed to go undercover because she used to be a teacher, and she's like, I'm used to kids. I know kids. I understand kids.
Wait, I forget how. What leads them into Astoria? How do they hear that she's there?
Because that's the tip that they get. Like, the girl is the witness.
Oh, okay.
And she identifies Crisp as having killed her boyfriend or whatever. And so they can arrest him. But then they're like, the ex-wife is... Like, they do this thing where they're like, accuse her of having stolen millions of dollars from him and, like, ran away. And they're like, we have to get the money, which isn't ever actually explained, and it's never resolved except for she says when she
was any money.
Well, yeah, when she finds out what's going on, she's like, there isn't any money. There never was any money. Don't you see? And then they just move along because they say that they won't help her unless she gives them the money, which doesn't make any sense. Also, because like, who's getting them? Whatever. Anyway.
Yep.
So, in the process of them like so O'Hara is going to be the undercover teacher and Kimball,
Phoebe O'Hara.
Yeah. is going, and Kimball, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is going to be her husband or whatever. So, in the process of going, Phoebe, who's hypoglycemic and constantly has to eat food, has gotten food poisoning and is like shitting and puking
on their Alaska airline flight, by the way.
Yes, on
Alaska Air.
on the plane ride, and then on the car ride, and then like all night long, she's just like throwing up and shitting, and she's just like, ugh. And so Kimball is forced to then have to be the substitute teacher.
Because that totally makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And would
that's
totally
how
work.
That's how it would work. You wouldn't just say, "Oh, the teacher's delayed for a day." You would say, "Oh, someone else." But whatever. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, John Kimball, who plays John Kimball, who has never in his life been around a child, becomes a kindergarten teacher and is a huge.
Despite having a son.
Despite having a son and that he never sees. And
What?
I love this scene when they're like, "Do you have any kids?" And he's like, "Yes, I have a son." And they're like,
Oh, you keep doing what you're doing.
I wish that Keith has now turned himself in his chair so that he's just looking out.
There's a giant poodle out there, 2 tiny children, and a mess of adults, and I don't know what they're doing, and they're all white people, and I don't trust them.
But that's valid. But I just want to say,
I'm sorry if you're listening and you're one of those people. I had to turn side saddle because my butt was hurting.
No, that's fine. It's
and
just
that meant it was easier to look at the window than it was to look at you.
No, I love you. It's the you get in. You have an out the window position that you get in, and
like when I used to be on the toilet at your old apartment.
Yes, but it's also in the living room of this apartment and in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Like right now, like you just have like a specific way that you look out the window that literally
Very wistful.
Yes, it literally looks like you're like, I wish I could be where the outside is. As sung by Kermit the Frog.
I wish I could fly. I don't. Wait,
Anyway,
why is he British?
I don't know why I'm explaining the plot of Kindergarten Cop. Basically, Arnold Schwarzenegger, through a series of unfortunate diarrheal events, has to become a kindergarten teacher while he's an undercover cop.
And it's hilarious that this big butch, muscle dude can't handle some children's.
And I like that, but like the thing I like about it is like I think they purposely like got Linda Hunt obviously because she's so like small.
Yeah.
And I think I think it was meant to be like sort of a comedic thing. Like she's so small and he's so huge and she's his, she's telling him what's what.
Yeah.
But it actually works. She actually does seem like she's like, I will have your ass. Like he's a cop and he's like a huge muzzle.
Hold on. Let's take a break. Okay, we're going to take a break real quick. Be right back.
Linda Hunt's office, and she's the principal. Linda Hunt plays the principal of the school. And again, she's like just being such like a hard ass. And it's like, I love Linda Hunt. I love Linda Hunt. I wish she was in everything. I
totally
fucking
great.
love her. Anyway.
I know.
Her office is like that like faded like pink and like all of like and there's that like weird cabinets. Marbled green, like it's like that hunter green like fake marble that's and it was like that combo of like that like pink and then hunter green that used to be everywhere in the fucking like early 90s. Oh my god, it was so popular. And I remember that, and like it's like looking like anytime I see like very distinct, because sometimes you watch stuff and it's like stylized specifically to like have a certain look or have a certain thing, but then when you watch something and it's not style, it's supposed to just look how things just looked back
Right.
then. Like, her office just looks like an office. And I'm like, that's when I had that like hit of nostalgia of like, oh my God, I remember. I remember the 90s. It's
I
like.
was there.
But also, so when they get to the school, like Crisp's ex or whatever is a teacher in school.
Right. But we don't know who.
We don't know who yet. Whatever. It's Penelope Ann Miller.
Spoiler.
But she's teaching a class. So
Oh man.
Arnold is teaching kindergarten, and then Penelope Ann Miller is in like, I don't know, 8th grade or something. I don't remember.
I don't think they're that old, are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe 6th grade. I don't know. Maybe not even that. I don't know. I just remember that when I watched it, the kids in her class, I was like, they're so grown up. The first time I watched, I like legitimately was like very convinced that those children were like 19 years old. Like that's how I saw it. And then like I saw it again when I was like, I don't know, 20, and I was like, wow, they are little tiny kids. What the fuck? Like in my formative years watching this, or not formative, but like in the like my very, very young years watching this, I was very convinced that they were literally like 17 years old. And they're like probably like 10.
The cast of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. And like anytime I watch it since then, I'm like, oh my God, they get younger. Like every time I watch it as an adult, I'm like, they're so much younger. They're so tiny. But I love I do love the stupid, like, I like the girl the best. I think that's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go real bad.
Her scene when she's talking about her dad is the best one.
Just licking her lips.
Taking really long pauses.
My dad. Also, she's like, I'm not a policeman, I'm a princess. Get over there now!
Get to the chopper!
I'm not a policeman! Like, I think it was her character. They said, like, in the trivia, it said, like,
that she was
that she just,
Reitman's favorite because she
well,
marched her own
yeah,
beat
they were
or
like,
whatever.
just let her do whatever she wants. Like, we don't fucking care. And I was like, that's amazing. I gotta go real bad.
My dad works on computers, and he's the boss of his company. And he has a mustache and a beard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He doesn't have that much hair, and his head is so big that he can't wear any hats.
But the kid, I wrote this down. Dominic, who's supposed to be the son of Crisp Kringle. Crispy Kreme Kringle.
Krispy Kreme Kringle.
I wrote down. He's like 5 or something in the movie, 5 or 6, and his voice is so fucking like deep and raspy. It's very unsettling. So I wrote down Jackie Earl Haley as Rorschach as Dominic.
Oh no. Do the line.
He just and he says to Arnold,
I'm gonna put my lasers up. You're trapped in here with me.
I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. He says that to Arnold on
That's
his
what
first
he sounds
day.
like. Yep.
When
That's
he's
right.
very overwhelmed by the kids.
Who is your papa and what does he do?
Who is my daddy and what does he do? And then they're like, he's a fireman. He's like, not my daddy, your daddy. So stupid. There's one scene though.
My father was a policeman. His father was a policeman. His mother was a police wife married to a police. My father's mama's father's police.
There is
Not something to brag about, by the way.
It's true.
But apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger's dad actually was a police
I guess.
in Austria. Back home.
Also, yes, this movie is absolutely propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's propaganda. There is no good cop, not even the kindergarten cop. Not even the children that he makes act like cops. They're all but there's one scene where they're making fun of a kid who's abused. So it's like this horrible scene where he's just like has his back turned to the class and he's playing
demonstrating
by himself.
antisocial
Yeah,
behavior. Well, not asocial behavior.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
antisocial. Like he's
Whatever.
purposely
I'm
away
sorry.
from the
I
kids.
shouldn't have brought that up.
And
Yeah, he's off by himself.
yeah, like it's and you're supposed to be like worried about him, but all the kids are like, he's weird, he's stupid, we hate him.
He's a big old doody head.
And this line has stuck with me for like literally 30 years. One of them says, he's a cockapoo-poo.
Yeah, that's Haley Joel Osment that says that, right?
I don't think so. He's a cockapoo-poo. Because that kid, Miko Hughes is the kid's name. Haley Joel Osment does not make an appearance in this film at all.
Disagree.
Miko Hughes is the little one that's like, my dad is a gynecologist and he stares at vaginas all day.
And also, I see dead people. Girls have a penis, boys have a vagina.
That's literally how I said it. I quoted him and I was like, wait, that's not what he
I know.
said. But I feel like even now, I'm I don't hate that line as much as I probably should, because I feel like as you watch it, clearly in the 90s it was supposed to imply that he just has a clinical knowledge of things,
right,
because his dad's a gynecologist, but he's so young, it's easy to be like, oh, he's a kid and he doesn't know shit. He's just saying dumb shit, So I'm like, okay, I guess that line isn't. I mean, I don't. It doesn't need to be there, but I'm like, oh, okay. You can look at it any way you want to. I guess you can look at it both
Oh, thanks.
Somebody's.
Well, I read it as that 5-year-old is a big old transphobe. That's how I choose to read it.
I mean,
that one's for you, J.K.
Also, she wrote this movie. So, okay, also the whole Kathy Moriarty. Okay, I'm just gonna say, she's so fucking hot. I hate it so much, but she's
speaking of transphobes.
Oh God, yeah.
The writers of Soap Dish.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
such a good movie, except for that end.
Yeah, why?
Just
why is that ever an ending ever?
Anyway,
spoilers for
Soap Dish. It's transphobic.
The Lady in the Dale.
Oh God. So anyway, so Kathy Moriarty's kid in the movie is playing with dolls, and is I think the implication is that his dad's gay. I don't think she says it. I always assumed his dad was gay, but she's very much. I don't think she.
I was
it.
so convinced that, at the very least, Moriarty's character was meant to be a garden path for us to believe that.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to think that, but they
but
don't do
there's no
anything.
indication of that other than why are they there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly there's things because she shows up with a pony and a new bike.
Right. Yeah. Which I didn't
donate, and they're like, oh, she must have money.
She has a lot of money. But
not really.
Yeah, well, it's confusing.
Anyway.
So for whatever reason, day 2 of Arnold being the kindergarten teacher, she goes up to him and she's like, I'm very worried because she's like, I'm very worried because my son's playing with dolls.
I'm really worried about my son being gay.
And she's like, I just don't want anything, to be weird about him. And he's just like, I think I can help with this. He uses the dolls to look up girls' skirts.
So we're all good here.
And she's like, oh my God, I'm so fucking relieved.
Phew.
And I'm like, what? You would rather your child?
He's like, don't worry about it. I found a hunting knife in his locker. It just made me feel good that he was a hunter,
Throwback to Jagged Edge. God. Ugh. Yeah. But it's the thing of why, and I remember watching this when again, I was very strict, upbringing where that kind of thing was not okay. But I'm like, why would you ever be I'm so relieved that my young child is using a doll as a pretense to look up girl skirts, which, I mean, like, kids are kids and they're going to do stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But one, you're going to his brand new fucking kindergarten teacher to tell him you're scared your son's gay, which is like, what the fuck? Number two, you're not talking to your own kid about this. You're not saying like, hey, what's up? You were playing with dolls. Is that a thing you're into? Or do you just, you know.
Grade A parenting, grade A teaching, grade A childcare in general.
Yeah. So that was like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, as a kid.
Don't worry, your son is using Barbies to get access to a women's self-defense class where he can...
Which, again, is like that weird, like, that's the thing, whatever, anyway. Also, O'Hara, this is like a thing that, like, I always felt like it didn't make much sense, even as a young kid. O'Hara's character, like, being straight. I was like, that's interesting. Her, like, fiancé shows up, and he's, like, a naked man, and I'm like, I'm sorry. You're marrying a man? I mean, I'm not saying that, like...
You're just saying she's not conventionally attractive enough to be with a man. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying that she just, like... I just read her as having strong fingers.
Hey, you want to go get some finger blasts? You got finger blasties. Before Z put the pieces together for me that who Pamela Reed is, I said she looked like a cross between
No, yeah.
what's her name who played Laura Palmer? Fuck, what's her name? And Jane Curtin.
That's a very accurate
Thank you.
comedy. And you said that, and I literally went, oh my God. It's very...
This is one of my favorite games, by the way. Who is this
actor and what do they do?
Who is this actor and who are the
Who
fake
do they
parents?
look like? Oh my God. Yeah, this is... I want to read... Okay, now I'm going to read the trivia. I'm going to read the trivia for the IMDb trivia.
Cheryl Lee.
Cheryl Lee.
Good
Yes,
Lord.
God, why? Yeah. This is so hard. Seriously, like, IMDb trivia is like, who, I mean, like, honestly, I want to.
Are there any criteria?
I know, it's so.
Is there any moderation?
Again, this is not, like, the trivia with Clifford. Do you remember when I read that trivia where someone was like, this makeup is not accurate. I'm like, that's not trivia, you shithead. Anyway,
You're just pissed.
If anything, it could be a goof, but
Right.
it's not trivia.
Right.
But it's not. Anyway. Oh my God. I literally don't even know. It's very
Do you
difficult.
want me to read it?
No. In most of Arnold Schwarzenegger's films, he usually says the phrase, "I'll be back." In this film, towards the end, when he decides to be a teacher, he says, quote, "I'm back," unquote. No, he doesn't. He said it in one movie.
What?
That's the trivia. That's the trivia.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No,
what?
he doesn't what? And he said what in what movie? He said, I'm pretty sure he says, "I'll be back" in at least a couple of the
He says it in
Terminator.
both the first two Terminators.
At least. And I think he says it in Terminator 3.
Probably. And I'm sure he says it in, like, Last
And
Action Hero or
I'm
some shit.
pretty sure he says it and like and
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. And I'm like,
But-
what? But they say he says "I'm back." He does say "I'm back" at the end of Kindergarten Cop. But the thing they immediately say after that quote is, "No, he doesn't." Which, yes, he does.
It's very
Also, yes,
ambiguous
he
about
has-
what they're referring to.
Oh my God!
And-
Also, it's like, are you goofing? Are you like, are you new boot goofing with this? I'm just new boot goofing on the IMDb.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
it's
sure
wild.
I said INDB.
Oh, no.
NDB. In double penetration.
Sorry, an elephant just walked in.
An elephant just farted.
Yeah. Surprisingly, no trivia about the guns.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, yeah. Also, there's so much, like,
So many guns drawn around children,
I think
also.
the thing, it said, like, that it would have, like, they insisted on it being as violent as it is. And I think it actually adds to it. I think it actually, I know that that's something.
No,
I think that it is the movie that it is because it's so adult. It's actually so adult when it's not showing the kids.
Yeah.
Like, they have, like, Cindy and
I don't know if I'd want
Morg.
to show this to
Yeah,
a kid.
no, I mean, honestly, it's not
Wouldn't that be
much of a
terrifying?
kid.
If you were like 5 or 6, if you saw this, wouldn't that be terrifying?
No.
I know you didn't go to school, so
I didn't go to school.
for those going to public schools,
I didn't go to
or-
school, but also
not
no.
just public,
I think
but-
things I mean, like, things didn't scare me like normal kids. The stuff that scared me was stuff that was like the concept of eternity. I was like,
Well,
and then, but like, oh, this is a dead person. I was like, oh, cool. What? Okay. I just I didn't necessarily have rational fears. I still don't necessarily have rational fears, but but yeah, they said specifically. I think it makes it a better movie. I think it makes it a believable and like not as like super cheesy, like, you know. But
just
mhm.
that crispy Mama Crisp runs over O'Hara.
Oh my god, that scene though. I don't
When she's
remember
running.
that. She's running with her, like, she has a gun in her hands, but she's running with her wrists flopped with a gun in her hands, which does not make any sense. She's just like running. And then the car, as it speeds towards her, she turns around and opens her arms as if to hug it. And it hits her, and then she just goes
I'm
flying.
ready to receive.
She goes flying and slams into a fucking wall,
Almost,
a brick
almost.
wall. No, she rolls
The
off
side
the
of the
car,
school.
and then just like I think she like rolls off and hits the wall. I mean, she doesn't like get hit like into the wall, but like she gets hit and she bounces off the car and like, you know. And then she saves the day by beating the shit out of this old lady with a baseball bat.
Oh yeah,
Good
which
for you,
there's some
O'Hara.
trivia about that.
Yeah, what's the trivia?
That it's like so and so issue Louisville Slugger.
Oh, yeah. They were like, we don't know what kind of guns they are, but guess what kind of bat it is. But things that I want to point out. So, at the very end, he decides to stop being a cop and become a kindergarten teacher.
No one offers him the job. He just
Yeah, right. But two things about that. One, no cops in schools. I'm just saying. Okay?
get him the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Even
we
as
don't-
teachers.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. Two,
If you've ever been a cop, you don't deserve to have a job.
cancel culture run amok is what's going to happen, is what we're going to say after we get canceled for saying that. Anyway, what I'm saying is, why would, so like the principal was like very uneasy about an undercover cop coming in the first place. Then when she found out he had no credentials, she was like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Not only are you here, but you essentially bullshitted me about having ever taught kids.
But then
And
he
then
busts out
at the end, after he like shoots people in a school, during a fire alarm, or like, you know, during
a fire.
a fire at school, he comes back and he becomes the kid's teacher, and I'm like, he still doesn't have any
No, he doesn't.
potential. he only did that in one movie. He comes out, he's their teacher. I'm like, excuse me,
Still not certified.
you're not. You have nothing. You have no. There's.
Still no early
hope-
childhood education.
I mean, he's a cop, so he might know, but I'm like, does he even know CPR? And also, CPR on children is different than it is on full adults. So
very.
Does he know that? I mean, I know that sometimes cops have to learn stuff like that, but I don't fucking know.
I don't
obviously
either.
I'm not a cop, so good thing for me. But yeah, I'm like, you know, does he know how to, like, what?
Wah, 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 wah,
What?
wah, 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 wah.
Also, some of the trivia is, it's just this trivia is wild. Okay. Throughout the entire movie, Kimball continues to assure people that the ferret doesn't bite. Ironically, at the climax of the movie, Dominic is saved when the ferret crawls out of his jacket and bites Chris on the neck.
Guys, there's
No, he doesn't.
Guys, there's a ferret in this movie.
There is a ferret in this movie. It doesn't have a name. It's never named.
Oh yeah.
It's
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's in the trivia. I never would have noticed. I'd be like, I don't know what they call it.
That's
but
wild.
yeah, I know. But also, I want to say that they do the whole $3 million subplot is never addressed. Honestly,
Not really.
the only time it's addressed is when they're like, we need that money, or we're not going to offer Kimball's ex-wife any aid.
Kimball's ex-wife.
Sorry, no, I do it Crisp.
Oh.
Because I think Crisp Kringle, and then I'm like Kimball. Crisp Kringle's ex-wife. We're not gonna help her if she doesn't give us the money.
Help her, like give her
any assistance, any police assistance, anything like that.
Right, like protection.
Yeah,
right.
I mean it tracks for cops, anyway. But like, I'm sorry, what? But then she's like, there is no money, and they're like, oh, I guess we gotta help her anyway. I'm like, what? Which is fine. Like, I mean, I'm not saying she doesn't deserve help, but like, then the movie is over, and like, they don't address that.
His dad's not in France.
They don't address it at all. After she's like, there is no money. That's supposed to be the answer, but like, they don't address that Crisp made that up. They don't address if he made it up. They don't.
So
address,
much
yeah.
that doesn't get addressed.
Also, when Crisp
sense.
finally finds Dominic, and Dominic's like, "Ugh, I don't know who you are." He's like, "I'm your dad," and he's like, "No, my dad's in France," and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe your mother lied to you." And then he's like, "Don't you remember how we used to do this and this and this?" And he's like, "No."
It's all very common things too.
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't you remember
Twinkle.
Yeah. Yes, he literally sings. He's like, "Don't you remember Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star?" And he's like, "No, I don't remember that, Dad."
You're trapped in me.
And then, which, I mean, the fact that he doesn't remember the fact that he doesn't remember Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star should maybe alert someone to the fact that he might have memory issues.
Right.
But like, I have no recollection.
I've never heard that song before.
Father, I have no recollection of this song. But yeah, and it's like, I love that trope of when people are like, they'll be like, "Don't you remember when you were just a little baby and I used to hold you?" And I'm like, no one would remember that ever. Like, that's like a trope in movies where they're like, "Don't you remember when you were first born?" And I'm like, no one would know that. "Don't you remember you were like 3 and you hit your head really hard on something and then you were in a coma for 3 days? Don't you remember?" No, I don't remember that. Like, it's always something where it's like, why would anyone fucking remember? Or like when someone's like, "I don't remember," and they're like,
"I carried
"Don't you
you
remember?"
for 9 months.
Yeah.
Don't you remember?
I'll be like, "Don't you remember?" And then they'll like grab their hand and like do like Morse code on their hand, and they're like, "Don't you remember?" And they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot the Morse code."
Do Morse code on their hand?
I'm just trying to think of something. I was trying to think of a way I could think of, like, touching someone's hand that would, like it, whatever.
I'm totally lost.
I'm saying they'll do something that doesn't make any sense.
Are you talking about the miracle worker?
Oh,
she
no,
signs in her palm?
I mean, I've never seen that movie, but
Me
I
either.
could tell of it. Anyway, no, I'm saying they'll be like, "Don't you remember?" And they'll just be like, grab their hand, and they'll be like, "Remember?" And they'll just like, and it's like something that's like not even, it doesn't make any sense. And they're like, "Oh, I suddenly remember all these things because you grabbed my hand." And I'm like, why? Or they'll be like,
It's a good bit.
wait, what was it that we, oh God, it was fucking Face Off, where he'd put his hand over their face.
Oh, God. That was so awful. And like he was closing their eyelids.
Yeah,
up,
and
like
it was like
when someone dies and they close their eyelids.
He would say, like, anytime he said "I love you," he would just like hit everyone in the eyeballs with his fingers, and they'd be like, "Dad." And as he's like, his face got swapped with Nick Cage. They're like, Dad, is it really you? And he just like slaps him in the face. They're like, Dad, oh my God, it's you. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. First of all,
tell me something no one but you would know.
Oh God, I love that too. Tell me something no one else would know. And they're like, you grew up on Earth. Oh my God. How did you know that?
You love chocolate and sunsets.
You pooped in the Hollywood. And you love chocolate.
When we were 5 years old, you got separated from your mother in the grocery store, and it was very traumatic.
This one time that actually happened, because it's only ever happened to me. That's the joke. And this is the worst part of it though. It's when you get lost, like everyone has that like collective memory of being like a kid in a store and being lost and being like, where's my mom?
That was the joke I was making.
I know, but I'm saying it's even worse though. And I think this is another one that not everyone has, but a lot of people have, where you're next to someone that you assume is your mom.
Right.
And then you reach up and you're like, Mom, and they're not your mom, and you're like, fuck. And it's just this like
worse.
horrifying thing. That was the most traumatic. I got lost in a store one time when I was in New York visiting my aunt, or visiting like my dad's family.
Oh,
and my aunt, who I'm named after, whose name I won't say because I don't want anyone.
Your Aunt Z.
Yes, my Aunt Z. She took me shopping in like a department store, like a JCPenney or something, or Macy's or something.
FEO shorts.
And I lost her.
FAO, excuse me.
I lost her, and it was horrifying because I was in a place I'd never been in before. It was
Yeah.
a huge department store.
Right.
So, and it was like one of those like multiple
It's
stories.
Home Alone
it was
too.
it was basically like, it was like one of those department stores that has like multiple floors.
Yeah.
And I inside a mall, and I was just like, oh my God, and it was like terrifying. And I like, found someone, and I was like, I lost my aunt. And they were like, what does she look like? And I'm like, she's really pretty. And they were like, oh. And they're like, well, what does she look like? I'm like, she's got a lot of makeup on. And they were like, okay. They're like, what's she wearing? I'm like, I don't know. She's pretty though. I was like, she's really nice and she's pretty. Because
Sure.
like, I hadn't really interacted with her before.
Did you ever get reunited?
We did. Yeah. They did an announcement over the speaker, and she came a running, and she found me, and I was so relieved. And she was like, "Oh my God!" And I don't even know how. It's that thing where like
she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even notice you were gone."
No, she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know where you went," and like it was like really, yeah. But
Horrible.
it was like it was a thing. It was a whole thing. Yeah. The only other I was very small when this happened, but I have a memory I fell out of when I was a toddler. I like, how you get sat in the front seat of the shopping cart.
Mm-hmm.
I fell out of that.
How?
I don't know how. I was like reaching for something, and I like was top heavy, and I fell out and bashed my fucking face.
Top heavy?
Never. And I bashed my face, and I was very young. I was like 2. I remember it because it was so.
Oh, wow.
I remember just like my mom was like terrified because she like turned away to reach for something, to like get something off the counter.
And then so did you.
And yeah, and I was like, oh, freedom! And
Monkey
I like
see, monkey do.
And because it was like a thing where my mom was like, be still, like stay in the cart, like don't try to move a lot. Because I don't think I was like a literal baby, but I think I was like old enough to where like if I fell, I would get hurt, but like I was big enough that I wasn't necessarily like,
A toddler.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to, Anyway, I was like 3 or 4 or something like that. And
you were toddling.
I was, and I like reached
You toddled.
for something. But see, I think, how they have like the big like poles in stores sometimes where it's like, I don't know, it's like the support beams or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're like, and I think I fell and I think my face hit that. And like, I was like, oh. And at least that's how I
Did you hit the ground though?
I think so. I think I fell on the ground, but I think my face hit the pole. I think. I was very young, so I might be misremembering. But I remember, like, everyone from the store being like, oh, fuck. And, like, my mom, like, carrying me.
A chopper was flown in.
And, like, my mom carrying me out. And I was like, that was awful. And she was like, yeah, I told you not to do that.
This is
and
your
you
fault.
did it. Yeah.
How dare you be a
to
child?
yourself. don't feel bad for you.
I remember the first time that I accidentally took candy from like one of the bins where you just you're supposed to fill up a bag or whatever. I took like a Jawbreaker or something, and then we got out of the store, and my mom was like, "That's stealing." I'm like, "Oh God, I don't know. I'm sorry."
I have like a similar traumatic memory, but mine was that like I was with my sister, who I have a great relationship with, and she was like, "You have to take something from here," and she like made me steal from it, and then she was like, "You stole something," and like held it over my head. This should give you a hint as to why I don't talk to my sister as an adult. So she was like much older than me. She was like a teenager, and I was like a small child, and she was like, "Take it," and we like ate it, and she was like, "You stole something," and I was like, "I didn't know," and she was like, "You're a bad person now," and I was like, ah. So yeah, we don't really talk anymore. But yeah, like I would like see those, and like still I see those, and I'm like, and like I'm like, no, it's fine. Yeah. I get like bad memories over the like containers that you lift, you know. I'm like, and I'm like, no, God, whatever. Literally.
That's why you can't go into any like co-ops or natural
that's
food
why
stores.
That's why I literally will not go into any store with
bulk
like
bins.
Candy stores. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I love candy stores though. Candy stores are like overwhelmingly exciting because there's too much candy, and I'm like, I gotta go. Like I want everything.
I'm not actually tempted to go inside of them.
Yeah, I mean it's too much. Like I'm like because if I like I'm either gonna be disappointed,
right,
or I'm gonna feel really sick.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, or I'm gonna spend so much money that I can't, like, because you know, to get everything that I want,
exactly, it's
gonna be like $150.
The pressure
and
to like have to choose.
Yeah, you gotta choose one thing. I'd be like, what?
On the rare occasions when my mom would take us to get ice cream, I would have this experience. I would get so overwhelmed that I only ever tried one flavor for like years and years.
Oh my God! Please tell the story of when you went to see Kindergarten Cop.
Oh right.
Oh my God! I can't believe. I'm so glad you mentioned your mother.
I forgot. Yeah, I don't get. I'm not actually sure that we ended up going to see it in theaters, but I was on the phone.
Spoiler, Keith had relationships before me, so he's going to reference one of those in this story.
I had relationships before you were born.
If that upsets
Just
you,
kidding, that's not true.
if that upsets you, then I'm so sorry.
My first girlfriend, this was when I was like in 8th or 9th grade. And I remember looking through the paper at the movie listings for something, like maybe my mom was going to take us and chaperone. But my girlfriend was on the phone while I was going through and like reading the listings. And Kindergarten Cop was one of them, and then I kept going, and then she was like, "Well, let's do Kindergarten Cop because your mom really seemed to get off on that one." And I was scandalized that she used such language.
Right, but because your mom was like, "Ooh."
Yeah. She heard my mom in the background respond to me saying Kindergarten Cop, which
Mom really got off on
I'm trying to remember. She would always call it by the wrong name too. From then after, my mom my mom called it like, I don't remember.
Kindergarten?
Police kindergarten or something. Which I took every opportunity to correct her, of course. They need correcting.
Oh man, I love that story. I like stories about your mom.
Oh.
I do, yeah.
I like telling stories about my mom.
Yeah. I honestly it's one of those things where I'm sad I never got to meet her.
And she said she never met you.
Oh.
Ha! How's it feel? I'm sad that I'll probably have to meet your mom. Just kidding, Connie. Purely a joke.
It's clearly is just done to make me laugh. And I'm sorry I didn't have any response to it whatsoever.
I believe I have a friend that lives in Astoria now. So shout out to him.
She. I don't know, like, ooh.
I've been there once.
I've never been to Oregon, even though.
What I remember about Astoria, is that it's like really steep. It's like on the side of a hill because it goes to. I mean, it's on the ocean as well, but like it's very steep.
I've always wanted to.
Small and steep.
I've always.
And up the road is Cannon Beach, which is a touristy beach town.
I've always wanted to go to Oregon. I've never been.
It's pretty.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't know that I'd want to live there.
No, probably not.
I mean, I do like. I mean, the appeal of living there was always like it's always so rainy and dismal, and everyone's like, "Oh, I hate this weather," and that's the weather where I'm like the happiest.
Yeah.
Like, I experience seasonal affective disorder, but I experience it in the opposite. Like if it's bright and sunny, I'm like,
it's inverted from what you would.
And it sounds like I'm being funny or like making a joke, but truly I do not deal well with constant sunshine.
No, it works great because I'm miserable in the winter and you're miserable in the summer. So.
It's true. I hate the summer.
Just kidding. I'm miserable all year round now.
I hate the summer. The summer is my least favorite time of year. I don't like it. It gives me anxiety. Like my anxiety goes up really badly during the summer. It's hot. I hate it. I get it's stupid, but like a lot of like childhood triggers happen like during the summer. So like I get really, really like it's a very awful time for me. So like when it's winter time and it's like honestly once like if it's like really snowy and like dark and like I'm like, oh, I love this. And the second people are like, finally spring, I'm like I get so like it really fucks me up. Like I get really the only thing that makes spring like living here, this is like the first place that I've lived that actually has seasons, like full seasons.
Same.
And so like spring actually is pretty here. So I'm like, okay, I can deal with spring better here than I could.
Yeah, for me this is the first place where fall is enjoyable.
Yes.
I've always hated fall because it was the end of summer, it was going back to school, it was days getting shorter. Horrible
Lucky
things.
For me, I never associated any seasons with
anything
with school because I was lucky enough to be homeschooled and we had year-round school.
You're right, but I
never.
Part of your summer trauma is that you had to do more church, probably, right?
Yeah,
is that true?
More church and also no TV during the summer.
What the fuck is that about?
Because it was only reruns, and so because like the summer we didn't have cable, so like the only thing on TV was reruns. So during the
your
summer,
parents were just
there would
new
be,
content or nothing.
Yeah, basically, they were like, we don't want you to waste your.
We don't want you to be poisoned by the past.
So
we just want you to have the cutting edgest.
So
entertainment
and it wasn't
experience.
a chance because like TV was different then, like you couldn't record things. For later, like you couldn't record something at the same time that you were watching something else. I mean, like, you
right.
had to have like special clips. So like, it wasn't even a chance to be like, oh, let's check out these reruns of this show we didn't get to watch because it's opposite something we watch. It was literally like no television during the summer, more church. I was doing school. All my friends were visiting. My one friend would go see her dad over the summer, so I didn't have friends to hang out with.
Yeah.
It was literally just like silence and church, and like we also had restrictions on radio. We weren't allowed to listen to the radio. Yes, it was really, really, really
and luckily
isolating. It felt awful. Like I was like literally like triggered into panic attacks like all summer long because it was like revivals are happening during the summer,
right.
so like people were like trying to get me to anyway, no one needs to see that. So Kindergarten Cop's a movie from 1990. I was 5 years old when this movie came out.
Oh, you could have been in the movie.
It's true. I could have been in the movie.
You weren't, but
I
you could have been.
wasn't because I hadn't got
Thanks a lot to that agent that you had.
I didn't have an agent yet. I didn't
okay.
get an agent until I was like 11 or 12.
Oh, okay.
I think, 11. Maybe 10 or 11.
Apparently Elijah Wood turned down the role of...
Turned down?
Just kidding.
Oh.
He was considered for the role of John Kimball.
Like, wow, he had a lot of agency. Turned down the role of John Kimball.
Thank you.
This is a thing that happens. The podcast will end after this, I promise. Keith will tell me a joke, and it sometimes takes like several minutes for me to register it. Like I'll hear it, but like in my peripheral hearing, whatever that means. And like 5 minutes later, I'll like repeat the joke, and I'll be like, "Oh my god!" And Keith's just like, "Thank you." But like it consistently
It took us
happens.
living together for me to figure this out. And of course, I had a period of being real pissy baby about it and being like, you don't listen to me.
It's like there'll be times when like literally though I can't hear what you're saying until like several minutes later. Like I don't know what does it. It's not always like that I'm looking at something else.
Like Nate on The Office. It's not a disability per se. It's just like if there's a lot of noise, I can't make out individuals.
which is like how you describe like that's like that reminds me of you.
Oh
like,
yeah, I 100% relate.
Like cannot if like any noise is happening and someone's talking, you're like what? Wait, stop! Like you have no ability to like.
Everyone, shut up!
Shut up!
One of the quotes from the movies on IMDb.
Oh my god! How? Also, if you like look up, because I was like looking up gifs for the movie, it's all just gifs of him being like "shut up," and it's all spelled like SHADAP.
That's racist.
Shut up!
Racist. Xenophobic.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, that's all I have on Kindergarten Cop and childhood trauma that I.
That's
suffered.
not all you have. Let's not.
Well, no, that's
put
not
a
all
cap
I
on
have.
that.
I think that's all I have for this episode.
My synopsis is Pamela Reed is great. And
love her. Linda Hunt, amazing. Pamela Reed, great.
yes.
Jane Brooke, hello.
Fine.
Hello.
Hello.
Kathy Moretti.
Yeah. I do want to point out,
honestly,
like,
wasted on this movie.
even though Arnold and Ivan Reitman presumably wanted to shoehorn in some
Details.
social issues, there's
It's
the
not done
subplot where Jane Brooks' character is apparently, we figure out her and her son are being physically abused by her partner, and the way it's solved
is
that Arnold punches the dude in the face, and then it's dropped.
Yeah.
Like, he
But
gets
also, yeah.
chastised by Linda Hunt, but not
Well, not
censured,
even. No,
not
she's
punished.
like, no, she doesn't chastise him. She's like, I just want to know, what did it feel like to punch that son of a bitch?
Well, yeah.
And he's like, it felt great. And she's like, oh yeah. And he walks out, and then she like mimics punching him.
Yeah.
And she's like,
But that's it.
Like,
Like, there's no follow-up. So, that's
not great. It's not great.
an accurate representation of our justice systems.
Ugh, yeah. But also, like, it's really weirdly done. And, like,
gross.
Yeah. And, like, the way that, like, Jane Brooks' character is, like, it's implied that she and the son are getting abused,
Right.
and that she's like really afraid of it being worse. But then at the end, like when he like confronts the dad, she's like, "You have no right," and she's like basically being just like, I mean, again, like it's believable, but like it's done. There's no explanation or like nuance to it, so it
None.
just seems like she doesn't care about her kid.
Right.
Instead of her being like,
Right.
"Dear God, you're making this worse."
Right.
Like she's just like, "Fuck you." I mean, there's none of that language in this movie, but she's just like, "How dare you judge me and my family? We're doing great. We don't need your help, Mr. Kindergarten teacher." And I'm like, "Oh, what?" And then he like pushes her aside and then goes and punches the husband.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey."
The end.
And then the end. And then the kid at the end is like, you know, when Kimball gets shot, spoiler. The kid's like, you know, like standing along the gurney he gets wheeled out on. And I guess we're supposed to take from that he's no longer abused or something. I'm like, I feel like this is probably equally traumatic for him to see his teacher.
It turns out he led the
bleeding.
campaign. He led the campaign to get him fired from the police, and so that he could come work as a teacher.
Led the
That's
campaign.
right. Drew up the petitions. And
I don't think the kid even has like any speaking lines. I think one time he says, "Ow," and that's it.
Oh,
like
shit.
I don't think the kid speaks at all in the movie, which I mean I relate to. That was me as
Doesn't
a
he when
kid.
Arnold first confronts him when he's ramming the cars into
Oh
each
yeah,
other?
maybe he's like, "Leave me alone."
When he's like, he's a cockapootie. Cockadoodie.
Cockapoo-poo.
Cockapoo-poo,
I
sorry.
wrote it down.
Cockapoo-poo.
He's a cockapoo-poo.
Cockapoo-poo.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay, that's Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, cockapoo-poo.
From-
Kindergarten Cop.
Visit scenic Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah.
It is a lovely town. It's tiny.
I'd love to.
When I went, they had a brand new little cooperative grocery.
Oh.
Teeny tiny. Cannon Beach, also lovely. Up the road. And by my friend Jacob's journals at Ex Libris Anonymous. I used to work for them. Them. Indirectly got me into podcasting, so you're welcome.
That probably came out like so much more loud and horrible sounding than. Are you gleeking on the mic? Or is that supposed to be dance music?
Tune in next time when we'll be talking about another movie.
That's right.
Bye.
The party starts now!